listening to all of these guests along the way, it's like we can't assume we know. We can't judge. We have to recognize that all of us are susceptible of going through those seasons in our life. We need to build that trust. It starts with like lack of judgment, all those things. As we get to know somebody, we can be part of that process of them finally seeing, I am created for more. I am worthy. I am created in the image of God, worthy of dignity and respect and love. And I can take that next step forward to live into that. Hello and welcome to the Restorers Podcast. I'm Jack Crowley, the president of Water Street Mission. My partner in crime today is Ron Gibson, senior life coach, Water Street Mission.
I'm here again.
Yeah.
I'm honored to be with you, Jack.
We got a whole bunch of podcasts together this season. This is kind of fun to connect and chat with you. And we're tackling some questions and listening to our guests, which has been really cool this season as we listen into some of their perspectives, and in our hopes that those of you listening, may be enlightened and encouraged as you learn more about Water Street, you learn more about those experiencing homelessness. So today, Ron, we have a question we're going to tackle. Actually, our guests are going to tackle this. We're just going to respond a little bit to what they say. What do our guests here at Water Street want our listeners to know about homelessness and about their experience? So we're gonna listen to a number of our guests this morning.
What I would like people to know is you can get homeless like at any time in any circumstances, which is like they are normal human being, like living like daily like us. They have jobs, they have family, and it's a day by day. Once you get into the homelessness, it's like a rabbit hole, you know what I'm saying? So it's hard to get out of it, especially if you don't have a place to sleep at. I was working while I was like homeless, sleeping near the bus stop, you know what I'm saying, and trying to make to the job. So yeah, that was quite challenging.
There's so much that comes out there. First of all, a lot of people assume that people who are homeless, people who are coming to Water Street, people on the street do not have jobs.
Right. We have all walks of life. Like everybody and anybody is subject to become homeless in a heartbeat. And I'm just putting that out there. For this guy to be open and say, like, he had a job and he was still homeless, and trying to hold on to that job and then surviving in the streets at the same time. Yeah. That is a very hard thing to do. And I applaud that guy because he's our guest here and he's doing awesome too. I got to throw that out there.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, and I think that there's truth to it. It's nuanced that anybody at any time in any way could become homeless. I think the truth to that is, and you and I know, we've met guests who've come through our door, who had been living on the street or in their car or whatever, from all different walks of life. And, college professors.
Corporate lawyer.
Yes.
Remember?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah, man.
Know a lot of people who've been supervisors and managers in lots of different fields.
Pastors. We have had that.
Yeah. So there's no like prerequisite. That's right. For what could.
It's like a list. Only these people could be homeless. No, everybody is subject to be homeless. Yeah. Everybody.
Yeah. And for some, it's one thing. For others, it might be a series of events.
That's right.
There's lots of pathways. And again,
avenues.
Typically like a corporate lawyer, it's not going to be, I lost a case and I blew one thing and it's over and I'm homeless, but it's a series
of things. Yep. He pointed out, like, everybody talked about trying to find a place to rest. Yeah. See, we ain't even talk about that.
Yeah.
Finding a place of rest. Because when you're in that predicament, it's a hustle and bustle that never stops. Yeah. And like us here at Water Street, we embrace and we want to give you a chance to rest. And regroup in your life.
Yeah, that's one of the things. When you're on the street, there is no no such thing as rest. There might be moments of sleep.
That's right.
But there's never truly rest.
Look, I was out there, and from the moment you wake up, is things going on. You're in survival mode, and what today gonna bring.
Yeah.
And it brings everything.
Yeah, and it's usually just today. We're not thinking about tomorrow at all.
No, tomorrow don't exist.
Yeah. Let's we're gonna listen to a couple more guests here.
I think one of the biggest misconceptions of homelessness is that not everyone who is homeless is a drug addict or an alcoholic. Homelessness doesn't just affect people who were looking for an escape or who have fallen into those types of unfortunate habits and stuff. It can happen to anyone. The way that I always put it is that you are one bad decision away from ending up where I am. Like, you're one bad day away. Like, it could be a car accident. It could be a house fire. It could be, the death of a relative. It could be anything that could lead someone into the same position that I'm in currently. And that's not to say that, everyone's a victim, because, I don't want to take away from the sake that, in some way, shape, or form, we're all responsible for being, in our situation to an extent. That's one of the biggest things that you have to one of the biggest hurdles that you have to get over is taking that self-accountability.
I think one of the things that, being in this organization for so long, it is like those stories. And this came up when I was on the bench and talking to people about, even when we talk about organizations, but when we talk about individuals, if you've heard one homeless person's story, one person experiencing homelessness, if you heard one story, you've heard one story.
That's right, because they're all different.
Right.
They're all different.
And that journey, what were those precipitating events? What are those things like? And that's the thing too. It's like, we know not everybody who uses drugs or alcohol becomes homeless.
That's right.
There are people with much worse addictions problems than those who may be on the street, but they've got other supports around them, and they're making do in whatever way. And then just because, even though you're clean, even though you've never had a drop of alcohol or drug in your life, doesn't protect you from other circumstances that can lead to homelessness. And I think that's one of the things too here at Water Street, I think is so important, is that, and many missions, because we do see patterns, right? And you want to respond to the patterns and address the needs. So if there are people with addictions, you want to have an addiction recovery program. You want to be able to support them in it. But if that's all you have, and I remember having that conversation years ago, like I was talking to a gentleman at dinner in the dining hall, and he's like, Jack, I've never drank or used drugs in my life, but the only option I had was an addiction recovery program. Because that was what we had at the time. It was either shelter or addiction recovery. And he's like, so I'm doing this addiction recovery and trying to come up with what's the life controlling problem that I have. And he's like, I got a lot of small life inflicting problems, but I don't have that one thing. It's not like if I get sober, it's going to change things because I'm already sober. So we had to think about how do we address individuals and their needs? And that's what I love about where we are now at Water Street.
Me too, Jack, because I came, I think it was recovery, and I am honored and blessed to watch the transition to not just dealing with that, but dealing with the person as a whole, not as an addict, not as an alcoholic.
Somebody with mental health
Somebody
issues.
with mental health. We looking at the person as a whole.
Yeah.
It's like when we having a meeting about a guest, just try to treat it as if that guest is sitting right there. We do that. We try to go all in for the guest.
Yeah. But everybody's journey into homelessness is different.
That's right.
Their journeys out are probably going to be different too.
That's right.
And so how do we walk alongside them? That's so important. But I think, that guest, that point of it can happen to anybody is very real. And we see the evidence of that.
That's right.
And so every day, somebody's walking through our door and their story is different than the last. And listeners out there might be surprised by the history and the stories of those individuals. Let's listen to another guest.
Everybody's situation is different. Homelessness, you can't look and say, oh, that person's homeless, because it doesn't have a look. Talk to people that are in the situation, get to know them, get to know their story, get to know their reasons why. You may be surprised.
Yeah, I mean, she's saying the same thing, and I love that she turns it to like get to know their story. Like the first step is knowing that just because you see them, you don't know their story.
That's right.
And the reality, people from all walks of life have experienced this, and then get to know them.
Yeah, I just said it a couple of seconds ago, like with the lawyer guy.
Yeah.
I went over and introduced myself and
What's your story?
Asked, like, bro, what's your story? And he wasn't thrown back from it.
Right.
He was in his mess, but he was willing to get out his comfort zone and say, hey, my name's such and blase, blase, blase. And I was like, are you serious? Because, you know what I mean? I was shocked that a person in his status was homeless.
Yeah. I can't even tell you how many times I've been surprised. Like I've been here 30 years. I'm still surprised sometimes. And just a couple months ago, sitting down with somebody and hearing his story, I was like, whoa. Yeah. Like, are you like just and I won't tell his story because it's his to tell, but just the journey this young man had been on, the trauma he had experienced, like beyond anything I could even had imagined, and yet he had made it. And then a landlord who basically said, I'm doing something different with my building, and he didn't understand his rights from a tenant standpoint, and whether he would have been able to win it or not. He was out on the street with almost no notice, and it was just like, what? And still working a job, still a good job,
right?
But just had nowhere else to go. He had no other, because he didn't have relationships and resources here. Yeah. But just a crazy story. But getting to know that story, take the time, get to know people, and hear what's really going on.
Amen.
I know homelessness has been a stereotype where you think everybody's a bum, kind of not wanting to do anything with their life. But most of us just got out of a crappy situation and are just trying to turn our life around in any kind of fashion. And that's one of the biggest things of why, at least in Lancaster, there's a lot of resources in and outside of Water Street that if you have the willpower, you can make it through.
Those stereotypes that still persist, right? That anybody who's out there, they must be lazy, they must be a bum, they must not care, you know, they still persist. And, I like what she said. A lot of us have just gotten out of crappy situations.
That's right. And Jack, when I was here myself, I came here from another state, and I knew some people up here. And when they found out that I was here, they was like, oh, yeah, you're a bum. They called me bums and all this and that and the other. And then as time went on, I went from a guest to a volunteer to a staff. And I had this pet peeve. If you down these people here, I had to defend it.
Right.
So I had a guy one time, we was at an event, and he was bashing the people, this and that and the other. And God told me to tell him, instead of judging like that, how about just come down and take a tour to see what we do down at Water Street? And he did. He did it.
All right.
And then I ain't see him for like 3 months. And when he seen me, he came and gave me a hug. He was like, man, I didn't know that y'all do so much for people. He said, because I would ride by and I would just see people with bags and this and that. And I say, bro, it is more than that. So I challenge anybody that's looking at homelessness, because you see a person with a bag, you see him with a cart, especially around here where we at. How about come and see our volunteer coordinator and take a tour to really see what help is given and how we are trying to address and help people that are homeless.
And the heart of the people themselves.
That's right.
I mean, I think too, like one of the things I've been blessed by is, and very different approach to ministry or work with those who are experiencing homelessness, that we don't necessarily do, but they're friends of ours, is Hand Up Partners. And Dave Costarella out there on the neighborhood.
That's right.
Inviting people who are sleeping on the street to help clean up the streets, help clean up the parks, help clean up and giving them a little bit of money.
That's right, couple hours.
A little bit of dignity.
That's right.
And how far that goes, because we judge, we think, we see something, they would never would never do that, and yet they're doing it. And they're willing to do it, and they want to do it, and it builds dignity and hopefully opens the door. I know Dave has invited people to come to Water Street that he's gotten to know out there, and some of them have taken him up because they didn't have that hope before, but that series of engagement and building dignity and that willingness to say, I am made for more.
That's right. I'm going to give you a challenge. Visualize everything gone. You have no place to stay. You're out on the street. You can't get no support from nobody else. Just think about it. And you feel lonely. You feel disrespected. You feel like you don't have no dignity. Just think about that. From everything you have to finding a safe, like the young lady said earlier, a safe ornament, something over you on a rainy day. I know some people say, I'll do this, I'll do that. Sometimes it ain't going to work that way. So I just challenge you just to think about that just a little bit.
And you never know what you would do until you're in that circumstance. We could predict it all we want, but let's take a listen to another guest.
When I first got here, I was embarrassed and ashamed, but I feel like people should know that it's not anything to be ashamed about or embarrassed about, that things happen and people go through things.
There's nothing wrong with getting help. Don't be ashamed about it. There's nothing wrong with getting help. I used to be that person they coming at me. But they was just coming to love on me and help me. So please hear that. Don't be ashamed.
That shame can keep us stuck.
That's right.
And unwilling to reach out to those who can help. That's so, that's a big part of it. And even that first step, many of our guests have expressed that when you come in the door, you're feeling all kinds of way about yourself. And it's hard to overcome that. And that's why, our primary focus that first week is about rest.
That's right. Get that rest.
And just let you know it's okay.
Yeah.
It's okay.
And we're going to help you.
There's a place to sleep. Here's some food to eat.
That's right.
And then we'll talk later about
anything
what we need to do.
That's right. To help you out.
Yeah.
Thinking about my journey and where I'm at, and we all have different things that brought us here. And I think, there's a stereotype, but just like life, one size doesn't fit all. I mean, I kind of keep beating myself up thinking, what did I do wrong? How could I have lost what I had and ended up here? And, since coming to Water Street and having volunteered and things like that, it's hard to just accept, this is who I am, regardless of what brought me here, good decision, bad decision, I'm still a person of worth. And then also, as you get to know people, it is kind of reassuring to hear that, even though your exact circumstances might have been a little bit different, there's still things that you have in common. Some of the things are not so good, and then some of the things are good, especially being here in a community with people that are trying to, accept where they're at and build on their strength and sort of lean on one another.
One of the the key things that he touches on is, that starting point of turning things around for everybody. It starts in the same place of realizing that you're created for more than what you're experiencing right now, and you are worth the help. That can be the barrier to coming in. That can be the barrier to being vulnerable about what's really going on in your life and taking that next step. And, when you get to that place and you're willing to say, and what does it take to help somebody get there? I think listening to all of these guests along the way, it's like, it starts with, we can't assume we know. We can't judge. We have to recognize that all of us are susceptible of going through those seasons in our life. We need to build that trust. It starts with like lack of judgment, all those things. As we get to know somebody, we can be part of that process of them finally seeing, I am created for more. Right. I am worthy. I am created in the image of God, worthy of dignity and respect and love. And I can take that next step forward to live into that. But it takes time to build that trust, and it has to start, like if you come in with a judgmental perspective or attitude or thinking you know what their story is, like that destroys trust from moment one, not just day one, moment one. Like it just breaks down trust. And so it takes time, and it takes that perspective.
My dad, when he found out I was up here doing the life coach thing, he said, I need you to remember that. My father was a correctional officer. So he said, when a guy or a gal or whoever gets in front of you, you have to remember. And he leaned to the side and pointed like the person there, all that they went through walking to stand in front of you. Place. So you don't know their story. Yeah. So you have to, take your time with a person when you first meet them, from baby all the way up to all right that there.
Stuff. Yeah. So we've been talking a little bit about like how we receive here at Water Street. And I think, for our listeners out there, it all applies there too. You are going to encounter people in your life, whether they're people experiencing homelessness or somebody going through a hard time in your church, in your neighborhood. Those same things come. They're so critical about not judging, not recognize you don't know the whole story of what journey they walked to get to that moment. Right. And so can we lead with non-judgmentalness, with curiosity, and open up to build trust with individuals.
Trust is important.
Thank you, Ron.
Thank you, Jack,
for your input. Thank you to our guests. Yeah, man, what a great job answering those questions and being vulnerable about your own journeys. We thank you for that. And for those of you listening to this podcast, thank you for joining us today on the Restorers Podcast. God bless you.